All of us, whether rich or poor, young or old, educated or not educated, are the sum total of all of those people and events that have touched us since first entering the world. Every thought we've entertained has had its effect upon what we are now. Every movie we've watched had its effect. Every book or magazine we've read had its effect. Every TV show has had its effect. Every disappointment, triumph, doubt, dream, and love for someone each had their effect. What we are and what we have slowly brought upon ourselves. It is the human tendency to blame someone or something else for our lack of progress. We blame government, competitors, managers, inflation, pay schedules, and even the traffic and weather for our circumstances. Those people and events which have left their mark, whether favorable or unfavorable, are now behind us. What happened even as recently as yesterday is no longer of any consequence unless we choose to allow it to be. What is of great importance is who and what it is that leaves its mark today and each day thereafter. What we have been is an established and unchangeable fact. What we can yet become is an unlimited, boundless opportunity. Therefore, do not allow your awareness of past difficulty or failures to adversely affect your current and future possibilities. The greatest value of the past is how wisely we invested in the future. Let the past be a servant for making the future both more enjoyable and profitable. For those who seriously accept that they deserve and will one day achieve financial independence, let each break off the rear-view mirror of their lives and concentrate upon what lies ahead. Let them begin their quest for achievement by taking a close inventory of those people and circumstances which today touch their lives. For it is their effect which will determine what lies ahead, what the size of the next crop will become next fall. We sometimes can accumulate a mixture of the people and environments of life which, if not altered in some way, will assure that our future will be just about like our past. Positive human progress has its price, for surely each gain automatically produces a loss or a sacrifice. Each of us is affected in a negative way by something each day. One of the great challenges of life is to have both the wisdom to recognize those sources of negativity and the courage to cast them aside if necessary. None of us would voluntarily drink a glass of deadly poison if we knew what it was, and yet each of us had friends or relatives or business associates whose effect on us is just as deadly as the glass of poison. The difference is that one form of the poison kills instantly. Once consumed, the body recoils, weakens, and then all bodily functions cease. Other poisons kill hope, ambition, enthusiasm, and the thirst for achievement. The methods are different, but the ultimate result is the same. There is little difference between one who has given up his life and one who has given up his hope. There are those who will laugh at those who read useful books, and yet there is little difference between those who cannot read and those who will not read. The result of both is ignorance. There are those who will discourage those in search of a better occupation, and yet it is essential that each of us find what we were meant to do if true happiness is to be found. There are those who will frown upon those who set ambitious goals, and yet without goals, there can be no achievement. And without achievement, life will be as it has been. There are those who will gossip about those who are doing well, and yet there can be no cause for rejoicing among those who are doing poorly. There are those who will cry to those who turn away in search of a better life, and yet we must sometimes turn away from those whose effect limits us, in spite of the tears. There are those who will hate those who achieve the improved life, and yet there can be little happiness in poverty, nor love among those who must endure it. One of the disappointments of life is that friends will abandon those who begin to change their life for the better, and yet those who remain behind will say, "He has forgotten us now that he lives well." It is those who accept their mediocrity who choose to remain behind. It is almost always those who have climbed above the crowd who would wish to return to their earlier friends and embrace them in friendship and love, knowing that they dare not, for jealousy among those who remain behind will not allow it to be so. It is often difficult to pause in the middle of life for the purpose of sifting out the debris which we collect throughout the years. We tend to accumulate and cling to ideas that limit our progress. We cherish friendships, even though the friendships impede our personal growth. We allow ourselves acquaintances whose conversation affects or destroys our attitude about life and people. We maintain business associates, although those associates teach us immoral, illegal, or unethical practices. We learn shortcuts for increasing profits while decreasing quality. In countless ways, we wander through life, allowing people and their attitudes and ideas to mold our character. People whose attitudes and ideas have brought themselves little in the way of progress, productivity, or happiness. Unpopular as it may seem, each of us accumulates people, customs, attitudes, habits, opinions, and philosophies which we very simply cannot afford to keep, if we seek honestly after an improved life. Friendships are indeed valuable, but so is the human life, and it is foolish to fall short of our potential, because we feared alienating a good friend. The gathering of a few business friends for lunch is a common everyday occurrence. In 1 hour we can satisfy our hunger for food, gossip, ridicule, and condemnation of those not present. We can repeat half-truths brought to us through hearsay. We can complain about government, management, co-workers, traffic, taxes, weather, and the system, while doing nothing to produce solutions. Even if the conversation does reveal solutions, we make no effort to communicate them to those who can possibly implement them, accepting things for the way they are. If our attitudes, results, or happiness are to ever improve, we must exercise the painful discipline required for weeding out the garden of our life. Eating alone is better than mingling with those whose conversation is negative. Canceling the appointment is better than keeping the appointment with those who will simply waste our time. Changing the conversation is better than prolonging a conversation designed to degrade someone. Telling the whole painful truth is better than a half-truth, distorted to make ourselves look or sound good. Saying no is better than saying yes to something you don't want to do or to someone you don't want to be with. Being firm is better than being courteous to those whose caustic personality does not justify courtesy. The improvement of our personal circumstances means that we must learn to do what the failures are simply not willing to do. Better than many of the wrong friends are a few of the right friends. Better than a few of the wrong friends are no friends at all. Life is a delicate maneuver of selection, rejection, review, and change. Each person entering our world brings either a contribution or destruction. Trying to be always nice is to invite certain disaster. Those with poisonous attitudes, strange opinions, and caustic conversations love to look for someone nice who will listen to them. They love to dump their verbal garbage into the mental factory of anyone willing to listen. A major challenge in life is for each person to learn the art of standing guard at the doorway of their mind. Carefully examine the credentials and authority of those seeking to enter within that place where your attitudes are formed. The words, opinions, and comments of others are constantly taking their toll on each of us. Subtly, the conversations of gloom, despair, complaining, condemning, and criticizing are forming our temporary moods and our permanent personality and character. A wise man once said, "A sour face does not come as an accident. It is the result of sour thoughts." Children are often told by well-intentioned but misguided parents that they are bad, naughty, selfish, or shy. Teachers, by their actions or their expressions, sometimes report to parents that their child is slow or uncooperative or a poor student. Throughout our early years, each of us was subjected to impulsive remarks of those who were unaware that it is those very words which were forming our character. As we become adults, we then seem to tend to choose to associate with those most like us. The weak attract the weak. The poor are most comfortable with the poor. The successful are drawn toward those who are successful. Those of optimistic views and attitudes select those of their own kind. What we have become largely determines the kind of people, events, books, and lifestyle that we select. If humans were ever going to change their personal and financial circumstances from one level up to another, we must accept the fact that such progress must consist of doing as well as undoing. Many of the events and people who currently influence us must be sacrificed. Those sources of doubt, worry, negativity, greed, and selfishness must be cut free. For as long as that influence remains, change will not likely occur. Those who attempt to change themselves or their circumstances without severing the mental anchors which they've attached to themselves are going to make their task nearly impossible. Undoing the past is difficult enough by itself, even without those who, by their conversation, remarks, or attitudes, keep pulling us back toward that which we're trying to leave behind. Imagine a man or woman who has been constantly trying to make ends meet, paying only a portion of their debts, buying the bargain-priced clothes, shopping to save a few pennies on a can of beans, and the countless other things which people must do when unable to earn enough money. Finally, the day comes when the person combines the right mixture of anger, frustration, humiliation, confidence, determination, and courage to say, never again. They're resolved to change themselves and their situation is unshakable. And they thrust themselves into reading the right books, dressing the right way, thinking the right thoughts, and going to the right places. Their lives are committed toward the changing of things for the better. In spite of this new excitement, determination, and effort, imagine the chances for success when the man or woman must return at the end of the day to those whose voices ring with discouragement, ridicule, and exaggerated doubt. It seems as though there will always be the negative brother-in-law who is there to say, "For someone who has always been broke, you're sure putting on quite a show. Good luck." Being subjected to both our new determination to succeed, as well as to those close to us whose words remind us of an unproductive past, is like being on a mental elevator ride. We move ourselves upward with our thoughts and actions, but some thoughtless person keeps pushing the down button, bringing us back to where we mentally began. Our new confidence quickly gives way to old doubt. Our new actions are overcome by old fears. And finally, we may return once more to that kind of thinking which puts people on their mental and financial knees. Having brought us back from our wild dreams, ambition, and accomplishments with their well-meant but destructive opinions, our friends celebrate by inviting us to their Friday night party where once again, we will become active participants in the jokes, sarcasm, and gossip of those content with their own mediocrity. Having exchanged our dreams of a new life for the acceptance of old things, we make the quiet transition to never again try, plan, dream, explore, or achieve. The value of surrounding yourself with the right friends is immeasurably awesome. The danger of surrounding yourself with the wrong friends can be devastating. Perhaps a good theme might be friendship in proportion to the right personal growth from that friendship. The value of surrounding yourself with the right friends is immeasurably awesome. The danger of surrounding yourself with the wrong friends can be devastating. Perhaps a good theme might be friendship in proportion to the right personal growth from that friendship. And finally, be aware that the right friends should not be equated to those with the most money. It is the attitudes, awareness, and other positive human virtues of the friends we select that are of importance. Not all poor people make poor friends, nor do all rich friends have an enriching effect on our lives. Carefully examine the friends you have, not their assets or accomplishments. By examining our friends from both ends of the financial spectrum, we may discover several of the rich as well as poor friends with whom we can no longer afford to associate.